Yeah. I've been wanting to have you over for quite a while now.
Yeah, sorry. This summer was wild.
What was wild?
I just went through like a really big life change, so I was kind of adjusting on that in my personal end, and then business was like really, really slow, like way slower than last year.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
What do you think? Why was it slower this time around? You think?
yeah. It's probably a combination of things. Like last year, we were kind of fighting with like it was just COVID. Everyone was on vacation, so that's where everyone lived. Like last year, July was the most traveled month in human history.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone traveled. But this month, like the weather was like kind of more on the mild, nicer side. There wasn't any like super crazy hot days. Plus, in combination, the mall is in a very kind of weird situation right now, where there's that massive redevelopment project, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to commit any money to doing anything like for the mall itself. So it's just kind of sitting there. And I mean, you've been in the mall. You go right into that driveway, and where BJ's used to be, it looks dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks closed. Panera's gone too. So you're already driving down, and the first two things you see are closed stores.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already turning people away. So a lot of us business owners within the mall are already like fighting tooth and nail just to get our names out there
Mm-hmm.
and convincing people. I just had four people this past weekend, literally be like, "Oh, I didn't know you were here. I've been in that space for 3 years now."
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you can do everything you can. You can advertise, you can push it out, you can go on Instagram, Nextdoor, Facebook, all that stuff, and still it's hard to reach the audience, especially here in Marin County.
Yeah, it is hard. Personally, myself, I don't really go to the mall because there's, like you said, nothing to do.
Yeah.
The only places where you could like grab a bite is what mi pueblo and what
Well, I mean, there's ounces. I mean, the beer garden outside is
Oh,
phenomenal.
how's that? I've seen that, but it's just like
I mean, to be fair, I'm a little biased because I manage there as well.
oh, okay, okay, okay.
But I mean, but out of many restaurants I've worked at, like it's probably the one of the better ones I've worked at, and also at the same time, like food's good, beer's good. They let us be ourselves, have our own personality, and
Mm-hmm.
really get to know our customers. And it's really nice. If you're looking just to kill a few hours, you're not in a rush to get food and go. Like it's really nice to sit outside, like have a couple beers.
Mm-hmm.
There's live music. We got a TV recently, so now we're playing the football games on
Oh,
Sunday.
that's dope. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's that's a big plus.
Oh, it's a huge plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a nice little crowd now on Sundays just to come and watch the game and drink beer. So it's pretty nice.
Do you do other sports rather other than football, or have you
Uh,
tried like soccer or like probably not UFC, but like other sports that?
we're just testing the waters now
Mm.
with probably that. I am also a big fan of the Sharks, so I've been like sneaking on Sharks games whenever I can
Okay, okay,
get
okay,
through
okay.
it. Not that it's really much of anything because the Sharks are doing terrible right now. Um, 8 straight losses, and they're
Really?
playing right now. Yeah, yeah,
Damn.
I know. Rebuild year like every year.
Huh.
But yeah, I mean, we're looking to it. If someone requests something, like we already had a party for some sort of soccer game. I don't remember who was playing though, but they rented out the bar and requested a TV to play that game.
Yeah, I think Barca and Real Madrid just played. Like, I don't really follow soccer, but I know there was a big game. Everybody was posting about it like a couple of days ago.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was that game. I
Okay.
wasn't sure what it was either because I don't really follow it either.
Okay.
But yeah, but we do stuff like
Yeah, there
that.
was a lot of people talking shit back and forth. Yeah,
Just like every sports team, man.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, I don't really follow, so I don't know why they were playing. And it's, I guess, one of the classic games, right?
I guess I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
It's like literally one sport I know nothing about. Honestly,
Yeah.
probably should pay more attention to it.
Um, what other sports like basketball? Is it even the season? I don't.
No, it's not
No.
basketball season
Okay.
right now. Right now, so the World Series is going on right now. So they have the
Oh,
Mets and
that's another thing. Huh?
yeah. So which is really funny for our area because as Bay Area folks, we really like our Giants. We hate the Dodgers
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and we hate the Mets.
Yeah.
So we don't want anyone to win. But I will say it is really fun seeing Shohei Ohtani. Really fun watching him play. It's
Why?
like-
I don't watch baseball, so
He's like a one in a million player. Like you literally watch him and you can recognize him as probably one of the best baseball players to ever hit the field. Period.
Hmm.
And the fact that he came from a totally different background from a lot of these other players who usually are coming from like America or Mexico or
Mhm.
anywhere else like that. He's from the Japanese league.
Okay.
They play a totally different kind of ball game over there, and he's coming over here playing like way better than some of our guys are.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's a video of him crushing a home run through. Their our sister team is the Tokyo Giants,
Hmm.
same color, same everything.
Oh shit.
But their baseball field is a dome. It's fully enclosed.
Hmm.
So there's a video of Shohei smashing a home run through the dome,
No
like through
way.
the ceiling.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
That's crazy. I'm gonna have to check that out.
yeah, it's wild because even the announcers were like, "Is the ball gonna come down?" Or
That's funny.
yeah, but yeah, right now it's like a really fun time for sports and stuff because the three different seasons are overlapping with each other. But with the rain coming soon, we'll see how long people will be sticking around to hang
Well, I was
outside.
gonna ask you once the rain season starts, what's gonna happen? Because that's outdoor, right? There's no awnings or anything like that.
There is actually. So this past year they built a tent and it's a multi-use tent. So right now we have shade sails over it, so it's perfect for blocking out the sun. And literally tomorrow they're gonna put up a fully enclosed, a waterproof lining in it,
Hmm.
so it's fully sealed. So
Oh, cool. Yeah.
so as long as you stay under the tent, it's perfectly dry all the way through. And we put it through the ringer with these last year's storms, and
Really?
it kept dry.
Nice.
So it's pretty nice. And if you want to drink some beers and watch the rain, it's a good time.
Does it get chilly in there? Do you have like heaters or anything like that?
We do have heaters. City of San Rafael obviously can't allow heaters underneath a
Yeah, that's what
structure.
I was trying to figure out how
Yeah,
that works.
I mean, we're trying to figure out some options, but I don't think anything was like worth exploring or was cost effective right now. So we provide blankets, and ask people to dress warmly if they want. But usually when it rains, it's kind of humid, so it's not like cold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
And then what else is there at the mall besides
Oh,
as far as eating? Because I mean, I'm sure that's a big attraction for people to go out and grab a bite and then walk through the mall, right?
I mean, kind of. It More people walk through the mall just out of curiosity. I mean, what's there right now is obviously there's Skate Escape. Right next to me is Hazy's Arcade and Toy, and they focus more on Eastern style games, so it's like the rhythm games and Dance Dance Revolution type
Mm,
stuff. Can't find their machines around in America very often, so it's kind of unique.
okay.
There's Flying Dutchman Gymnastics, who's ran by an excellent gymnast. Like she's literally just went to a conference to teach other gymnasts how to coach.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, she's really good. And then there's Game Masters, which is an escape room right across from them. They're amazing. They just added another escape room, so they have two different games that you can run at the same time, which is really cool. There's Jump City, which is the bouncy houses right in the center promenade.
Yeah.
That guy's I love talking to him because he owns, I think he's working on his fifth one, and he has them across
Oh,
two
damn.
states now. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, he just finds a space, drops some bouncies in there, and he's good.
Is he the guy that had those little cars with like the
No,
no?
that was somebody else.
Oh, okay, okay.
I can't remember who did that. I feel like it was the same people that used to do the calendar like stuff in the center for Christmas
Oh, that's
time.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was the same person for that. But those cars have been long gone
Really?
for, yeah, like 6 years now.
Well, that's how
Before
much I don't go to the mall.
I I don't blame you. It's challenging to get people to come.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Even though there is a lot of fun stuff in there now,
Mm-hmm.
like that's enough to get a family through a day easy,
Got it. Got it.
But it's hard enough to convince that family to like, hey, like you can come here and spend a day here. You don't have to go to Roanoke Park to go do all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's right next door to you.
Yeah.
So
So is there like a marketing? Oh, you said they don't really want to invest in that, right? I was gonna say if there's a marketing team
there
for the mall, so you could promote your business and stuff.
their marketing team is showing stock photos of things of our business, and that's about it.
Mm.
It's very kind of lame, honestly. But again, like they're in a weird spot, and that's really weird of me to have a phone call in the middle of this. I
Oh, you
apologize.
could.
But yeah, they don't really market or do anything, so it's really kind of on us and stuff.
Mm.
But they can also dictate like how we market. So there's a Spirit Halloween there, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
They put down the little political sign size stuff, and they staked them around the mall to point arrows to like, hey, you can come this way. The mall made them take them all up,
Hmm.
even though there's no other signage that says that Spirit's there or any of us are there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of this weird little limbo. So we're just trying to navigate within our lease and do the best we can with what we're allowed to get away with.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I was really considering getting a spot there for my candles.
Your candles?
Yeah, but I was like, I don't know if that's the right move.
I mean, it's a plus or minus because like yes, while you're not going to really have the back end support that a mall normally provides a business in that space, the rent is ridiculously cheap. Most people are paying sub $1,000 or a percentage of sale.
Oh
So
wow.
if you're really just trying to get your foot in the door for like a storefront, just to get your feet wet and try it out, it's really not that bad of a take, especially if you can get the percentage of sale. No risk to you if you don't sell anything. The mall gets another space that fills up and it looks more alive,
Hmm.
which looks good for any loans that you want to get for their project later on.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So occupancy rate's really important for those kind of businesses. But yeah, so if seriously, if you're trying to get your feet wet, like you're not going to find anywhere close to cheap rent like that at all in Marin County if you want a storefront. But for candles and stuff, I mean, farmers markets are really good, but I know there's a lot of fees and all that stuff as
Yeah,
well. Yeah, and it can get kind of
and
expensive.
in my personal experience, I think it's a little bit competitive. Trying to get your stuff in a farmer's market.
It yeah, it really is because farmers markets really attract a lot. I don't want to say a lot of the same types of businesses, but they kind of sort of do.
Hmm.
It's a lot of food and produce, which is the main purpose, and
Hmm.
then very artistic or like kind of like easier to make, not easier to make, like easier to sell like household items, candles, soaps,
Hmm.
trinkets, things along those
Yeah, yeah.
lines. But that in that little section, it is really competitive, and that's competitive across every farmer's market, whether you're here, Petaluma, um, San Francisco, even like
Yeah.
it. So it's kind of a hard thing to break through. Usually, for something like that, I think I had a friend of mine that had a crochet business, and she got off by just kind of passing out her stuff,
Hmm.
and people were talking about how good it was, and then she got more and more requests, and eventually it was enough to create a following, and then she felt confident enough to be like, hey, I'm going to be at this farmers market. Then people will come and buy. That attracts more attention for herself. It grows, and then you just keep that process going.
Yeah, when I did a couple of pop-ups, we did get a couple of regulars, where they would go, and we did like once a month or whatever, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
would go and buy a couple of candles from us.
yeah,
They were like looking forward to, buy from us and stuff, and it feels good. It's
yeah. It
you created something with your hands, you try to perfect it and stuff, and then people buy it.
yeah. I
It's a
mean,
good feeling. Yeah.
it's good to have a following of any kind.
Yeah.
Like I have a handful of regulars that I absolutely love, and some of them drive like 30 minutes away just to come
Really.
skate at my rink. Yeah, which I'm happy for.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's like the best feeling in the world because you feel like, hey, my work is producing
Exactly.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
So Connor, where are you from? Are you originally from the Bay Area or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm born and raised Marin County kid.
Okay.
Yeah, just like straight up middle class. Well, I my I jumped around between like Corte Madera, Larkspur, Tiburon, like all the way through until we landed in Corte Madera by the time my sister was born, the oldest of three.
Okay.
And we ended up in Mara del Presidio. It's in Corte Madera, right next to where Nugget is. Those houses you can see them on the highway when you're
Hmm.
going up through Tiburon.
Okay.
Ended up there. Then the '08 crash happened,
Hmm.
and we lost everything.
Really?
Yeah, we went
Damn.
from like it. It was I think it was a 3 bedroom house, like picket fence, like American Dream house kind of deal,
Hmm.
to a condo with 2 bedrooms. So I was sharing a bedroom with my brother and my sister at the time.
How old were you when that happened? And like, what was your experience like?
I was 9, so I don't know if I don't know if it really like hit me all that much.
Mm.
It really didn't start hitting me more until I started middle school. My parents thought it would be a good idea to, well, more my mom because she's an alumni for a lot of the Catholic schools around here. So
Okay.
I went through Neil Cummins as a public school, and she was like, "Hey, I went to St. Patrick's as a kid, along with your aunt and your uncle, so you're gonna go to St. Patrick's." Um, which was not a good experience, not because of the school. The teachers there are actually really, really amazing. And don't let the Catholic kind of label throw you off. They're pretty worldly actually,
Hmm.
and they don't really like shove the religion like straight down your face like some
Hmm.
schools do. So that was actually kind of nice. But the class I was in, and they still talk about it, was one of the worst classes they ever had to do.
Really?
Yeah,
What was? Why? What was? so
30
bad about it?
33 kids that all lived a certain lifestyle, that all started to school with each other since kindergarten.
Oh shit.
So you already have these kids that have been with each other for 5 years minimum. And then you have a handful of kids that come in and join in middle school, and they're all new kids.
Mm-hmm.
And out of like those new kids, I think me and another kid were the only two that made it all the way through to eighth. So like a couple, like I know like two of those kids dropped out. One dropped out in sixth grade to go to Hall Middle School, and then another kid at seventh grade did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually still talk with one of the guys, Andrew. He skipped out in sixth grade, which was definitely for the best for him. He had a way better time at Hall Middle School for sure. But yeah, our class was just really tough.
Got it.
It was just really hard to deal with the constant comparison between what I have, what you don't. And
Oh really?
Oh yeah, like
So mentally, how did that affect you? Like, were you able to register it? Was it like, were you like, ah, whatever?
I mean it kind of felt like it was definitely thrown in my face a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like weird, kind of like not kind of vibing with the same thing because like my dad didn't like football. We're a big sports family. Like my mom like was working a lot. She was floating three jobs to make sure she can get us the education that she wanted and stuff. And my dad was still working a full-time job on top of that while trying to make sure that we were still going to all of our extracurriculars with nothing's wrong, no problems at all. Like they really tried their absolute hardest to like give us a good life without letting us know that like the amount of hard work they were putting through just to like kind of float.
This amount of hard work that they were providing for you guys, were you able to understand then, or as you grew, like you were like, oh damn, that's what they were doing. They were trying to, they were working three jobs to, provide for us or whatever.
I was pretty oblivious until I was 18,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, because like I think that's kind of the way for a lot of kids, unless it's like unless the kid's more aware, which does happen, or the parents are a little bit more transparent about the situation at
Mm-hmm.
hand, like their financial situation. But like they kept it pretty private, so I didn't really understand the amount of work they were really putting through until I started working. And I was like, what the heck? You were working like 16-hour days,
Mm-hmm.
like sleeping away, like taking care of other people's kids and stuff just to like keep us afloat.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Like that's commitment to family right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just I didn't really understand that, but like like now as an adult, like love my parents and appreciate them to the moon and above because of like how they did everything they possibly could to like try to maintain a lifestyle in Marin County,
Mm-hmm.
which then we all realized once we were all adults is like not the lifestyle a lot of us wanted anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually it kind of worked out where we all kind of went our separate ways. My parents split at 16 when I was 16 years old, but it wasn't like anything bad. It was like just an amicable like, yeah, we're just vibing a little differently now, and so your dad's gonna go this way, I'm gonna go this way, and
Uh-huh.
we're still gonna be friends. We still meet and talk. Like, all right, I'm matter of fact, I have a dinner with my mom and dad Saturday, so they meet every week and they still talk and stuff. My mom got remarried. Like, it's a very funny dichotomy, but like it totally works, and everyone's still super supportive. So
Mm.
yeah.
Awesome. When they split, did you were still 16, so were you like, bouncing back and forth, or did you stay with one
No,
parent?
we can't we I say we, but the younger siblings were kept out of the conversation, but we kind of had a little bit of a plan that everyone would stay with dad and mom would go off and get an apartment, but still like kind of financially support here and there a
Mm.
little bit
Mm-hmm.
just for our stuff.
Yeah.
And so they just kind of kept it that way for a long, long time until oh boy, I think it was until yeah, till Shaq, my middle brother, uh, he moved out and started going to college and getting his life started.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, around that time, she found her now husband, and then so obviously the life was different, but the needs were also not the same anymore. So there was like, just live your life. Like
Yeah.
I can take care of Caroline. It's fine. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's all good.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, they work really, really well together. So on a lot of those conversations, I hope were a lot easier, like they made it seem.
Got it. What was that? Oh, got it. Sorry. So at what age did you start working?
I started working Technically, I started working at 17. I got my uncle was a contractor, so I started working on the yard with him, pulling nails out of old boards.
Sounds fun.
It was terrible. It was really bad. But funnily enough, the very, very first job I actually got was at the ice rink in Marin. It was a Craigslist ad that I found.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was 2012. I just graduated, so I had all that whole summer. I didn't work all that summer, and then it started bleeding over into winter time, and obviously I needed to do something. So I saw the ad. They were paying $15 an hour for a skate guard, which like out of high school, no college in 2012 was pretty good pay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited about it. I went to the I went to go meet him, and I met this one guy named Pete. Um, he's just like this big funny guy, and another guy who had to like he was one of the nicest guys in the world. His name was Joe, and they were putting together the rink. They're like, hey, you're Connor. I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, you're here for the skate guard position. I'm like, yeah, can you skate? No, not at all. And they're like, well, how do you expect to do the job? I'm like, I'll figure it out. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, just give me a little time. I'll figure it out. Pete thought that was so entertaining that he was like, all right, I'll take you up on that. You get 2 weeks. Figure out how to skate. My wife is going to come and test you in 2 weeks' time. If you can pass her test, I'll hire you on the spot. So I did. They let me come by, let me borrow skates, and let me skate. And I went out there and skated for 14 days straight, 4 hours a day, teaching myself how to skate. Um, Eventually came back and passed, and then I started. That's how I kind of got into all of this. It was
Really?
just a Craigslist ad.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
How hard was it for you to learn how to skate? Was it pretty hard or?
It wasn't that hard. I didn't realize I kind of had more of an innate like ability to understand it. I started off on figure skates, which was a mistake.
What is that? Figure
So
skates?
figure skates are they have a longer blade and they kind of extend past the boot. It's meant for a little bit more stability, but more importantly, they have something called a toe pick in the front. It has four ridges on it. The toe pick is used to for figure skaters. That's how they launch themselves to do all the
Oh
spins and
damn.
tricks. Yeah, to stop
Really?
momentum to kick up.
Okay.
But of course, when you're just a casual skater, those toe picks can really get in the way sometimes. So
Uh-oh.
they trip up a lot of new skaters a lot. It wasn't until Joe's son Ian saw me skate for the first time and started working with me, and he was just like kind of like lightweight bullying me and be like, "Hey, you should get some hockey skates, man. You should get some hockey skates." And I'm like, "I don't know how to use hockey skates." Like, "No, you just use some hockey skates." So he like basically forced me on hockey skates. He was right. It was definitely a better choice
Really?
for me. Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It fit my style way better. It was way easier for me to move. I felt way more comfortable on them. And then yeah, so then from there, like just working as a skate guard, you're out there skating like 4 6 hours, depending on how long you're working or if you're doing a double or anything like that. And you get pretty good at skating by doing that.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. So
And did you trip and fall a lot of times when you were? Yeah.
yeah, I've had some nothing bad. I've never broken a bone or ever had any major injuries like that. Actually, I've been
Okay.
pretty
Good.
lucky. But I I remember one time specifically there was some a family that was like kind of having fun and they were like, "Oh, show us your best move," and I went all the way around and literally right in front of them, like the Three Stooges went up and just
No
splat
way.
right on my
Oh
back.
my god.
All you could do really is laugh it off at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you have fun with it, right?
Yeah. Of course.
But yeah, that was that was definitely embarrassing.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. But like you said, you gotta have fun with it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I still fall on roller skates all the time too. I just took a bad spill like on Sunday, in front of a bunch of kids,
Really.
and but they kind of get a kick out of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's either a relief for them to be like, oh, you know, this adult who kind of knows what he's doing, he falls too, and it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to fall, or they think it's the funniest thing in the world, and they're happy to laugh at you.
So how to drink some water.
No, you're good.
So after that, what was how long did you work there for?
So I worked there. Technically, I worked there for 5 years, technically. So first year was that. Then that was actually the year I worked at Guaymas,
Mm-hmm.
2013. which is how I met you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then went back, did the next season, went back to Guaymas, and was working as a camp counselor at a summer camp too.
Oh wow.
Then I went back again, and I was actually going to skip out, and I was staying at Guaymas more because there was actually hours this time around.
Yeah.
And I went over there just to go check it out and skate and say hi and stuff, and
Hmm.
it was a mess.
Really.
Yeah, I jokingly call it the dark year because it was the other managers left. Joe and Ian left. They moved away to Ian was starting his actual career, and Joe retired, so he was just kind of living his life.
Hmm.
So they had to hire a brand new crew. There was nobody at all from the previous year, not even any of us staff. So it
Hmm.
was all new, and so no one knew how to do anything. So I came across Pete's wife, and I was like, "Hey, is everything good?" And she's like, "No," and I'm like, "Do you need help?" Yes. All right. So I just started working right away,
Oh wow.
and then she told me later, she was like, "Yeah, I would really like it if you managed. I would feel really comfortable if you were a manager here. I will pay you way more." And I'm like,
Hmm.
"Sure. I have two jobs right now, but on my off time, I will definitely come down here and at least like run the Zamboni and help and do whatever I can do." Um, Eventually it started kind of leaning more and more in my direction. And then by the end of it, the staff stopped asking the actual GM for stuff, and they were starting to come to me like I had all the answers. And I'm like, I'm barely here, guys. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I think Pete saw that because after that, I decided to move to San Jose and start like doing adult things instead of hanging around where I live and stuff
Hmm.
like that, just to try something new.
Yeah.
I moved over there um, and worked as a valet on Santana Row, which was a super fun job. I
Hmm.
was living with five other people
Oh wow.
in one house or in one apartment actually. I was sharing a room with my friend, and they were all going to college, and I was the only guy that was like full time job working.
Hmm.
But you know, young 20s was perfect for that.
Yeah. True.
8 months into that, Pete calls me and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "Oh, I live in San Jose, and I work as a valet." And he's like, "What if you didn't?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, I have the ice rink again, and I have no one to GM it. You want to
Hmm.
GM it?" And I'm like, "I mean, sure, but I kind of live here. Like, I make pretty good money." And he was like, "I'll pay you $40,000 to run it for the season." I was like, "Whoa."
Wait, wait. So $40,000.
$40,000 to hire me and set up everything. So I'd be in charge of building. I'd be in charge of all the logistics. Or he was helping me learn the logistics, but like that would
Hmm.
eventually be my task. The logistics of build, setup, running, hiring, doing all the employee stuff like scheduling, pay, all that,
Hmm.
and all that and tear down all for that price.
Got it.
And as a 20-year-old, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we get into that, w- what were your plans prior to that? So you were doing valet. Like, what were your plans? Were you gonna go to school? Was that it for you?
I didn't have any plans. I
Mm-hmm.
was in the point where I was just trying a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you saw my resume, you would be weirded out by it. Because I worked in a ton of restaurants. I've done childcare a lot. I did valet both in Sausalito and in San Jose. I've worked as a personal assistant. I've also helped in the back end of a dermatology office before.
Hmm.
You know, I had no interest in that. I've refinished bathtubs. I've worked on construction sites. Yeah, the list goes on and on. But I was just trying stuff. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had
Mm-hmm.
no interest in school. So I
Mm-hmm.
never did well in school. I didn't like
Did you go
how
to college at all, or
no,
no?
I couldn't. I tried. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it.
Got it. Got it.
I have pretty severe ADHD, so it's kind of hard for me to sit down and focus.
Mm-hmm.
School was kind of off the table right away. I was thinking about trades for a long time, but I would have to go back to school to get the math requirement to go into the trade.
What trade were you planning?
I was thinking about doing an electrician. There was a family friend of mine that was he was a electrical engineer for elevators, and he was telling me that he makes like like close to 200K a year, like da da da. The benefits are great. He's part of a union and all that. And so I was like, well, that's actually seems pretty nice, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I couldn't bring myself to learn the math. Like it just really was so uninteresting to me.
Yeah.
So I was actually like, it kind of lucked out that Pete sought me out, and everything that he was teaching me to basically run the rink, like I loved every second of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'm sticking with this. This is what I
Got it.
want.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then how many restaurants did you work at, and what positions did you work as? Because when I met you at Wymas, you were a host, right?
Yeah, I was a host
Um,
and food runner.
I don't know if did I leave before you or did you?
I think you did, because it was you, Chris, and Ramon, right?
Yeah.
And then it was other Chris that took over.
Okay.
Corporate Chris, we'll call him.
I don't remember corporate Chris.
He,
Oh yes, I remember corporate
yeah,
Chris. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like you guys like were in the thick of it, run everything with us and all that. He was
Mhm.
definitely like sit in the office and just kind of yell at us kind of guy.
Yeah.
So, but I worked at the Tiburon Tavern before that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started there as a busboy. I was
Okay.
the only busboy for the whole restaurant.
Really?
Yeah. So the tips were great, but man, it was a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
And then Guaymas, I worked at Original Joe's in San Francisco.
Okay.
I worked there as a host and as a food runner as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked at one other place, and I now can't. Oh, Sorella's in Fairfax. I did a small stint there.
Never heard of it.
It's a very homely Italian, like kind of a cafe feel.
Oh, okay.
Like my job literally was to greet people with a giant wheel of Parmesan cheese and like cut pieces out for you and like talk to you. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
It's that kind of place. If you get the opportunity, like please go with like your whole family. The food is delicious. Soy and Sonia are amazing people. They're like the nicest people you're ever gonna come across.
What is it called again?
Sorella's.
Sorella's.
It's in Fairfax. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll check it out.
yeah. It's really good.
Were you ever a server at all, or?
I didn't actually start serving until I started working at the bar here. So at Ounces, there's actually not really a position. You're not a runner, you're not a busser. There's no servers. You do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just the only difference is if you're like front of house or manager or back house. That's the only thing that matters. So yeah, that was actually my first serving experience, which was all different because we started having the new toast systems now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so everything was all just push a couple buttons, push it through,
Yeah.
instead of having to fight over the monitor and like write everything down. So
Yeah.
it wasn't kind of the same thing that everybody else like had to do for serving back in like just a few years earlier, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
All that really kicked in until COVID hit, basically.
yeah, I mean, Europe was kind of ahead of that already. They already were having those systems for like 5 or 6 years before us.
Oh, okay.
So it was going to happen at some point.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, but COVID definitely kickstart that like pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I up until COVID I worked at a restaurant, and so when COVID hit, everybody stopped working, and then eventually restaurants started opening slowly,
Yeah.
mainly for takeout. And I was like, nah, I can't do this no more. I'm out. So
Yeah.
no more restaurant business for me. It's just
You're just straight out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Even though, so would you ever consider going back, considering like it's now back to normal?
No, I don't think so. I
don't
mean,
think
I've thought about it, like probably bartending, but I'm like, do I really want to do this again? You know?
I kind of don't blame you. This is also a really tough area to have a restaurant in too.
Yeah.
You know, because it's the expectations are kind of wild.
Yeah.
Like when the bar was first opening, like we had to like sift through customers to get the clientele we wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and it took a minute. And a lot of heartache too. I felt really bad for the owners.
Yeah.
But eventually we figured it out, and now we know the customers we get, and the customers we have are amazing, and they actually kind of respect the work more than some
Okay.
folks, so.
Yeah.
But yeah,
One thing I dream about is having my own restaurant. That I would be like down to like go
man,
back.
that is one of the hardest businesses.
But
to
at the same
start.
time, it's just like, do I really want to do it? You know?
It's challenging.
Yeah.
Restaurants are really hard because like the profit revenue for them is so little.
Yeah.
And like you almost have to have a niche thing to like really attract the attention or the
Exactly.
pedigree
Yeah.
in one way or another, either through the chef or your restaurateur or whatever. Like I really got a hands-on experience like kind of watching a restaurant grow thanks to this bar, because they took the spot for the ice rink. So I knew about them well before.
Oh,
I
okay,
knew
okay,
they were
okay, okay.
coming in, so I knew I was going to lose the ice rink at some point. But COVID, no one saw that coming, and that kicked everything off way faster than we thought.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so watching them kind of go through it and just kind of realizing like, yeah, it's a lot of work for like not a lot of money for the first couple of years, and
Yeah,
most restaurants don't even make it a year.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the because Weima's, I used to love their food, like absolutely love the food
Mm-hmm.
before the new group took over back in 08, 09. So when you started working there, I think we already had like enchiladas and burritos and
Yeah, it was. I started 2012.
2012. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were already making all these drastic changes. It's originally was like what's it called, like authentic Mexican food, like dishes and stuff.
Was it more like tapas, like
Uh
kind of small eats, or was it like proper entrees and
it
stuff?
was it was proper entrees. It was like, authentic, quote unquote entrees.
Okay.
There was like snapper with it's just more authentic dishes, right?
Uh huh.
And then once the new group took over, they started, adding like enchiladas and burritos and quesadillas, and the quality like drastically dropped,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So like that's something that I wish I could like bring that back somehow, like the authentic dishes. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it's just like it's so hard to, like you said, to keep it afloat and start it and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of challenging. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of realize that, and I think that's why there's a lot more food truck kind of starts first before they start moving into full restaurants. It's a way lower entry level.
Yeah,
It's more reliant on you or a very small control team instead of trying to juggle. Because once you have a restaurant, like even in a smaller space, like you have to at least have like 4 or 5 staff on at all
yeah,
times,
yeah,
and that gets expensive. Even at like minimum wage, like out, like paying out, like keeping everything low, like that's already challenging. And on top of that too, maintaining employees anyway, because minimum wage is not enough for anybody to really live on
yeah,
nowadays. Even in Marin, it's $18 an hour in minimum wage now,
yeah.
and I don't know anybody that can live off that in this county.
True.
Pardon.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So good. Yeah, but it's only a dream at the moment.
Hey, there's no reason that dream couldn't come true at all
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe not Marin.
Yeah.
I know there's other spots that would super appreciate food like that.
Hmm.
I promise you. I know the city of Fairfield is doing like a massive redevelopment. That would
Really.
be kind of good to get the head of the curve up, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's your water if you want to drink some water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, Weimas were fun times. Those summer rushes, dude, were crazy.
The Czechs, the Czechoslovakians that would come in and serve with us for
Oh
the
yeah,
summer.
I forgot about them.
Yeah, dude, they were fun. Like they knew how to party.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had to go to the airport and pick them up a couple of times.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Chris, dude, I love Chris. He gave me a lot of opportunities. I grew because of him. I take I I consider him my mentor, as far as because of him I became a manager, and that opened more doors for me. I managed like PF Chang's at one point.
Oh wow.
So yeah, but I would go to San Francisco and pick them up one day because they were only here for like the summer, right?
Yeah, they literally only worked from like I think it was like June to August, like
Yeah,
June 1st to August 31st. Like it was just that.
yeah.
But they definitely made their imprint, and they like and on the whole strip too. Everybody, like whether it was Servino's or Sam's or any of the restaurants, the tavern, everyone knew when the Czechs were in town
Oh yeah,
serving. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And they had their everything planned out. They knew what they were here for, and they were here to enjoy, dude.
Yeah. Do you know how their living situation was?
Um, yes, kind of, cause yeah. So they got a house, right? They would get a house, and they would
S-
like all
So
live there, right?
yeah, so for the first year, I didn't know what their living situation was, but the second year they got an apartment for 8 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this apartment was going to be torn down. They were going to be the last tenants, and they were going to be
Oh,
pushed out
really?
that year. Yeah. So the landlord was like, kind of like, do whatever.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like, they had all of us over right before they were leaving, and they showed us their sleeping situation. So they're like, one girl sleeping in the closet on the bottom, and there's the guy sleeping on the shelf on the top.
No way.
Yeah, one's got the couch, another one's got the bed. Like it was a very funny situation. And I'm like, you guys sleep like this all summer? And they're like,
But
yeah.
imagine all that money they saved.
Oh
Cause
my God, yeah.
what was her name? Veronica was one of them, I think, and
It was like Veronica, Carla, Milos.
Milos, or
Yeah.
he bartended, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I used to love that dude. He was
Yeah.
so chill. He didn't give a fuck.
No,
dude.
he was so funny too. He was the
Yeah.
funniest guy. Like, did you ever like get to hang out with him like outside of Guaymas at all?
A couple of times. I think the second year I went to their apartment and we were chilling. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like he was always he initiated on everything. He always made sure that everybody was involved in every single thing that everyone did, and if you weren't, then he was coming over to get you and bring you in, whether
Really?
you wanted it or not. Yeah. That whole crew was so fun though. They were
Yeah.
really cool people.
But imagine, dude, like living in an apartment. I think they were paying like $5,000 or something. I remember it was something ridiculous. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
But then I thought about it's like 8 of them.
of them.
Split that into 8, and then you're pocketing.
Plus,
a lot of
also
money.
their servers during the summer, which is always like incredibly packed and busy, especially
Yeah.
when the second floor was open too, and we had like those kind of days, like
Yeah.
4th of July.
Yeah.
I did not like being a
Dude,
host.
I
on 4th of
remember
July.
once. I think this was before your time because it was around 09, 2010. There were two managers, Hispanic dudes, and we had there was a wedding, and they had what's it called? They had a budget, right? Like 20 grand or whatever
Yeah.
to spend on liquor. And we were just fucking pouring drinks, dude, left and right, and it went over like almost double, dude.
How do you go
And-
double on a 20 grand bill? How many people for the wedding?
It was a big wedding. It was a
Like
really big wedding.
100 plus?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, yeah. And I don't know, something fishy was going on. I think I don't know, but then I think he got let go like a couple of days after because they had to comp like almost half that check, and it was like a big argument. And I don't really like remember the whole details, but I remember like he was gone like days after that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dang. That.
yeah, but those were like just crazy nights, dude. Like all those rushes, like it was just.
Yeah, I loved and hated it at the same time because
Oh, you definitely hate it when you're there.
yeah.
But now that you look back at it, it's like, oh, those were
It was
actually
pretty fun.
fun times. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was mainly a host, I was like, I think Ramon called me head host, but I think he was just joking because I was like the only guy out of a group of girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was me and it was like 4 other girls that were all
Yeah, you were
working.
like the only host. Yeah.
I was the only guy until what was that server's name's son? Alfonso's son. He's
No, the guy was Carlos.
Carlos.
Carlos. They called him El Padre. Yeah.
That's right.
Like the Godfather or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
Padre.
Yeah. And then but that was his uncle, like actually, or something like that.
Well, I think it was actually maybe after you left
Hmm.
because isn't Alfonso like was one of the oldest servers?
Oh,
there
there was
right?
Alfonso too. No, you're talking about was it Alfonso?
It was
like curly white hair. No.
no like small, like short, and I felt like it was definitely one of the oldest servers there, and he had a son that was 20 and he started as a host after you left. And
Because I remember Padre, he had like his like the guy you're talking about. He was kind of like dark skinned, kind of tall, right?
no
Okay.
no that no he was fine. And I don't think this kid worked at Guaymas though, did he?
Who?
Padre's kid, Carlos'
Yeah.
kid. Did he?
He did. Yeah. He had glasses. He was dark skinned, taller.
Oh, maybe I'm flipping 2 people around. It was so many years ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute, dude.
It's been over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, dang.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah. But yeah, he was that's one of my favorite restaurants that I've worked on. Just because like it was so fast paced all the time. And
Yeah, I don't think anything came close. Actually, Original Joe's in San Francisco, I would say came pretty close to that.
Really?
Because do you know about that spot? So it's in San Francisco. It's pretty well famous because it had a huge fire and it destroyed their first restaurant.
No way.
And they had to move. I can't remember where they were originally, but they had to move from there over to North Beach.
Mhm.
And they it just got really famous because of that, and now it's like probably one of the most popular spots on.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's really 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 popular.
And what type of food is that?
Straight Italian.
Oh, okay.
OG Italian, where you have everyone yelling Italian in the back at each other.
Really?
Well, it's really it depends on what chef. There's one Hispanic chef and there's one Italian chef. And the
Okay.
Italian guy would yell and the Spanish guy would yell, and then everyone kisses and makes up at the end, like you do it every day, right? But yeah, this just I mean the stresses of like trying to make sure you get your food out and running
Yeah.
everything and making sure it's all timed right. Everything gets a little heated, and
Yeah.
then at the end of the day, you're sharing a drink and you're over it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I would remember when once you saw the ferry come in, it was like, oh, you better buckle in.
I didn't even bother looking at the water. I just took it as it came because I used to do that when I first started for like a month, and then I realized it's just like impending doom almost. So like, why do that here to yourself?
Yeah.
Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. You're gonna
Yeah.
have to handle the people coming in and make sure everyone's all good. So just roll with it.
Yeah. One of the things I didn't like, is when you guys got the iPads, the new system, to like get
Oh
the
yeah,
reservations
well,
and stuff.
Open Table, right?
Is that what it
I
was?
think yeah, it was one of the first programs that was really integrated in the U.S. for restaurant work. It was that and another system. It was new, and the whole like electronic everything was new.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a big learning curve for folks.
Yeah.
I will say any of the younger kids though you did hire were a little bit faster on picking up how to use it
Mm-hmm.
than some of the older
Well,
folks.
yeah, yeah,
But after like the summer, we were pretty decent at making sure it was all good and handle everything pretty all right.
yeah,
If I remember
yeah.
right.
Yeah. And then where else did you work after that, as far as restaurants go? What was the last restaurant you worked at before
I was part of the opening crew for Restoration Hardware in Corte Madero.
Restoration Hardware?
You
Oh,
know
okay,
that,
okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, which was one of the worst experiences I've ever had in a restaurant.
Why?
Well, so basically it was COVID time too. So like half of it kind of wasn't really their fault. It was a weird time to like navigate it. They literally hired us where they were like, "All right, well, this is our starting team. We're gonna open a new restaurant. We're really really excited." Da 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 da. COVID. We don't know what to do. So first they like try to keep us on these weekly Zoom meetings, like, and they were trying to keep us on payroll, but we were getting paid servers' wages, so it didn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like trying to bring us in, and they just kind of like stopped caring about like the COVID stuff. And this was still early COVID, so we didn't understand or know what it was yet, or
Mm-hmm.
like how to deal with it. So it was like we were all pretty scared, but it started like coming pretty apparent that they started prioritizing getting the restaurant open faster than more of our safety.
Mm-hmm.
So at points they were just running us through circumstances over and over and over again. And literally, I think I only worked like an actual shift serving 3 times,
Really?
and the restaurant was packed every time. And their excuse for it was the windows. It's a covered patio, and the side doors can open up,
Mm-hmm.
and they considered that an open space.
Mm-hmm.
I would have not considered that an open space. So I actually, as soon as they started doing stuff like that, I felt really bad. And I was just like, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do this. And then apparently, as soon as after I left, they lost one manager, and then another manager left, and then the manager that I followed to go there, she got fired over something real stupid. She opened a bottle of champagne and shared it with other managers on New Year's Day, and they said that she stole alcohol and fired her over it.
What the fuck? It's fucking New Year's.
I know. And you guys are busting your ass on New Year's Day. You can't have one bottle of
Yeah.
champagne on like, come on, really? And you're gonna fire her? Everyone participated too. That was the thing that was jacked up.
So you think there was other motives?
I'm not sure because like everything's super different now. Like the Restoration Hardware restaurant as it is now is not the same thing. I think there's only like even like 2 or 3 employees left from where I was there.
Mm.
Like none of the managers are the same. The systems are not the same. Everything's ran more smoothly. So like I don't know if you could really put the same thing as it was then or now, but like it was just badly ran. And then as soon as the GM like left, Brandon was his name. He's a super cool guy, but like I can tell he wasn't going to put up with any BS.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he was gone, I was like, "Oh, that's falling
Hmm.
apart." I don't think they really recovered until like kind of 6 or 8 months later, and then they hired a new gal, and she seems to be running everything really well. And people, I know one person that works there, and she said she really likes it,
Okay.
and it's really really good money too.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you're paying like what, $25-$30 for each plate
Yeah.
plus wine.
About, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there once with my wife and then my sister and her partner. But that's an interesting setup.
I mean, it's a beautiful building.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a really cool setup and everything like that. And the kicker is too is that everything there is something you could purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So the tables and chairs you're sitting on, you can buy this if you wanted to.
In the restaurant?
Yeah, you can buy
Oh
this.
shit.
Yeah, you can buy the patio stuff outside or the umbrellas. Anything in there you could buy from Restoration Hardware.
Hmm.
And then also the design of it too. I mean, like the CEO, his name is Gary. I can't remember his last name. He's a little odd. He loves his iced tea. He would kill like 4 iced teas every time he visit.
Really?
But he's pretty smart when it comes to how he does it. Because think
Mhm.
about it. What do you have to walk through to get up to the restaurant? 3 floors of stuff
Yeah.
to look at.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that looks really nice. Yeah, thinking about it all the way up there. Now you're thinking about it over dinner.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that's really
Do
smart.
you think he gets a lot of sales like that?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. This is not the only restaurant he has.
Mm-hmm.
He has like, I think 6 now or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like he has one in Chicago, one in New York. There's one in LA. There's one actually by Napa too. It has a wine vault, like a proper vault
Really?
with some wine in there that's like some of it's over 100+ years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I'm sure he probably catches here or there, but like remember those pieces of furniture are like, $2,000 to like $20,000 pieces of furniture. So even out of like one of what, 250 people, one person buys it because of how you set your restaurant up.
Yeah.
That's going to pay itself out by like 2 or 3 years probably pretty easily, like it on top of the normal customers and other revenue streams that he probably has anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, it was annoying to walk up to work every single day, but you got to appreciate like how smart the design was. Like, yeah, this makes you want to buy everything in here before you go and eat. Like, it's smart.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the chandelier. That's
You-
isn't there like a chandelier as
Yeah.
you're walking up? Or
Yeah.
something
Oh,
like
there's that. You could buy that too if you wanted.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the chandelier was like in the 30s.
Holy
30,000.
crap.
Yeah, I know. It's some of the stuff there is absolutely ridiculously
Yeah,
expensive.
that's a smart way to set up.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but other people follow it too. So like Hazy's, for example, the arcade next to me, like they're a toy store, but the way they set everything up is really smart because they put a lot of their machines operate on tokens. It's 50 cents for one token, and they put all their token machines all up front, and then it's just walls of toys, and then in the back are all the free games
Mm-hmm.
that you don't have to pay anything to play. They're just totally free to play. So for the people that are just checking out and looking and then realizing there's free stuff, you got to walk past all these great toys.
Oh yeah.
And as a father, I'm sure as you know, walking down the grocery aisle and your kid sees a box of cereal they really want to buy,
Mm-hmm.
makes it a little hard.
Yeah.
So same situation. But luckily, the thing I really do appreciate about Hazy's is that they built it out more for like a lot of the toys are like sensory toys. Basically like the button pushing stuff, the fidget spinners, sensory like squishy stuff and all that, which is really cool because actually you really can't find anything like that, like just to buy straight up. And it's been a real. I've heard a lot of high praises, especially for parents that have special needs children and stuff. Like I can bring my kid in there; it's not super loud. They have all the stuff he loves. He just loves like touching and grabbing and all this stuff, and it's great for him. And like that's really, really, really cool. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky to have him right next door to me. Actually,
Nice.
it's probably one of the best neighbors I have in terms of a business.
Yeah, because I was thinking that I think it's kind of cool that I think that you guys could complement each other, right? Because it's all like you're attracting kids.
Yeah, but
Right?
it wasn't meant. We didn't plan it that way. Like I got that space a year before they did.
Mm.
And I was working with the same GM that I was working with when I owned the ice rink there. She she was just about to retire, so she was just basically being like Oprah Winfrey, just passing out like, you get a cheap lease, you get a cheap lease. And she basically just hooked me up inside of the old Tilly's inside the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Said like, yeah, just do retrofit and stuff. PacSun was still next door to me.
Mm-hmm.
Then PacSun left, and then Hazy's moved in right next door. And I was like, well, that's real convenient, because I was
Yeah.
literally like, no lie, the same week I found out, I was looking up arcade cabinets. Do you know how expensive arcade cabinets are? $10,000 to $15,000
For what?
for an arcade cabinet. $10,000 to $15,000.
Holy crap!
Now you can find some used.
I was
and all
gonna
that.
say like how
Probably
much are
cheaper.
used ones?
You could probably between the range of 5 and 8. The thing is, it's a little challenging is like when you are buying a game cabinet, like there's like a license with it, because it's technically like you're paying to use a product and you're profiting off the game. So
Mm.
that price is hyperinflated to cover that. So eventually you'll pay it off, obviously, by like the quarters or dollars or whatever people are spending to play the game. But some of that money still needs to go to the original creator of the game and the developers and all that stuff. So that's why cabinets are so expensive.
Oh,
If you
okay.
go to Costco, there's the arcade one-ups that are free to play, even though they're Pac-Man and stuff. But notice how they're like only $700 for the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
No royalties, nothing attached to it, so it's cheap.
Mm. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, kind of going back to you being called back, getting offered $40,000 to run the rink.
Yeah.
How does that work for you, and when do you take over?
So so what year was that? That would be 2014. 14 or 15, I can't quite remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I took, yeah, GM that year. So it first started out with me. We operate everything off. All parts are mobile. So like the decks that we laid out are like pre-made decks that we could just lay, and we don't have to build everything every year.
Mm-hmm.
We also make sheds in the same way too. So the sheds that you were outside on the ice rink as well were all stuff that we made to be forkliftable,
Mm-hmm.
and put it on a flatbed, drove over from Mare Island over
I'm sorry.
to
How big are these?
these are 12 by 8
Okay.
sheds. So like the ones you would find at Home Depot.
Okay.
And we just prefab them all up, put them on a truck, drive them over, drop them into the space, and move on, just like everything else we do. I'm so sorry. I actually just blanked on the question that you just asked.
Me too.
Shoot.
No, we were just talking about how
did-
did you took how
Oh.
did he take over?
yeah. I took over when I was 20.
Yeah. Question.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're kind of all over the place here.
Fine.
So the $40,000 was like like your yearly pay, or like $40,000 to like come over and then you get your
No, $40,000 for the whole season.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
how long is the season?
5 months.
Okay.
5 months of work for me. The actual season runs 10 weeks, but I started work in August.
Mm.
And the first thing I did was meet up with Pete, who I've never worked with before.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember this story to the day, because he's kind of like a bigger guy. He's the nicest guy in the world, and like I literally like owe him everything, because he truly like got me into doing all this.
Mm-hmm.
But the first time I met him, he met him at his office. He told me to gather tools to go out into the yard and work on the buildings. And he came in with like these little tiny shorts on, and this like Warriors like shirt with the cutoff tee. And I was like, what did I just get myself into? Wearing the dad sneakers. Had to have the white sneakers on, of course. And he was a trip to work with, because he was pretty haphazard about a lot of stuff. And it wasn't until his daughter Maddie got involved that he started kind of being a little bit more safe. But it was wild working with him at first.
Really?
Anything to get the job done.
Huh.
Anything to get the job
Got
done.
it.
But yeah, and then after that, it was.
Did he like that, or were you like?
It wasn't the best learning environment,
Mm.
because it definitely made me realize how like kind of wild we were doing stuff with. But he was really good and supportive. Like I learned a lot of stuff from him, and also I really appreciate somebody that like gets in the thick of it too,
Mm-hmm.
because he's out there too, toiling away, same hours in the heat, sun, doing the same exact thing I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
can't can't get mad about that. We're both doing the same work. Um, but yeah, once it started coming to running the business though, like that kind of stuff kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. And I had to kind of nip it in the bud a little bit later in the season, realizing that like, oh, I can't that doesn't work for like all the way through
Mm-hmm.
to actually managing the business. It works fine for just two people working with each other. But yeah, after that, how to teach me how to drive a forklift, how to load up a truck, straps, how to tie down the whole nine, how to drive a flatbed. That was also Terry.
How many people were working with you doing all this stuff? Just you
Me,
and him, or
me and him,
oh wow,
two of us. Yeah,
damn.
he either he drives the forklift, I spot, or vice versa. One of us would go down and drive the truck, or we both go down in the truck together. It was a 12-foot flatbed truck with a 16-foot trailer behind it.
Mm.
And we would carry all the stuff, all the wood, decks, buildings, and we do like 4 or 5 trips from Mare Island over to Marin,
Oh.
and we'd have forklifts on both ends, so we just drop it off, and just and then usually once everything was dropped off, I was out there by myself building. Or I would hire a couple kids that would come through that were going to work for the ice rink anyway, and they would just come in and help here or there.
So how long did it take you to set up the ice rink?
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
So all
Monday to
the
Friday, or like you had to work like weekends too?
no, it was like 12, like 10 to 12 hour days, like 14 days, 14, 15 days straight. Like it's kind of a mad dash, and it wasn't really like anyone's fault. It was like the city can only allow us in to go in a certain spot, and then there's like a temporary use permit that only allows you to operate within a certain time frame. And even then I had to push that up with the city to be like, I need more time, like this is not enough time to run this.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily they were cool with it. But that we had like a small window anyway. So like Pete would come down and help me when he could, or his daughter, and like sometimes I would get help like if it was like really really tight. But mostly it was kind of up to me to like bring people in and do it. But I was kind of already kind of enjoying doing it all by myself. I
Mm-hmm.
actually really didn't mind. It was hard work, but it was only just all the wood and stuff. So I was mostly just dealing with the sheds, the decking, the mats. Those black mats are freaking heavy. They come in these big rolls of 150 feet, and they weigh like 2 to 300 pounds. And I'm like, tire lifting them over into position and then rolling them all out.
Mm-hmm.
I'd ask my poor dad to come and help me, and he's not a big guy, so it was a real struggle, but I appreciate the effort.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do all the wood part, and then we rented all of our equipment from a company called Special Ice that's ran by Emery Lycan. He currently owns over 10 rinks in California now. His most popular, his most his home base one is Walnut Creek's rink. It's this funny little triangle shaped rink,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really cool. He actually just got the bid for Petaluma, so there's going to be an ice rink in Petaluma this year, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be ran by him. And he also got the bid last year for San Jose's downtown rink, the figure 8 one,
Oh.
which is really really cool too. But yeah, so he rented us all the equipment and stuff. So him and his guys would build the actual rink part, and then we would have to get the chiller in, which was either you had to get a crane to lift it off the truck. This is a 200-ton chiller.
Mm.
And that's the machine that runs the refrigerant to keep the ice cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to drop it in the place, or you get a 30,000-pound forklift. That's like 12 feet tall. Like the wheels are bigger than me. And you have to forklift it off and do that. I've done both methods. The forklift was definitely the most fun because that is like the biggest piece of machinery I ever got to drive.
Really?
It was really cool. Like I felt like I was like kind of like top of the world a little bit. And then after that, they do all the hookup, set of the pump, measure the glycol out, push the glycol, test the system.
And where do you set this? Because you don't see it when you're like when you go to the rink. You don't see this pump. How big is it?
The pump's like 5 feet by 4 feet. It sits in a frame. It's a 500 gallon. It pumps 500 gallons per minute. It has to keep everything moving as quickly as it possibly could. Otherwise, the glycol can sit and freeze. And glycol, when you run it, you're not running it as it by itself. You actually do a mix with water, and that is like a bunch of math depending on your area, what the average temperature is going to be, direct sunlight, wind, like all that kind of stuff. You average all that out as best you can, and then you just like pick an average glycol level that works, and you settle on it, and that's what your ratio is going to be for the season.
Mm.
So you can adjust it later, but you really want to try to make sure you get it right the first time.
Oh.
Basically, the way the rink works is that there's an inlet and outlet into the chiller. It first goes out from the chiller into a header pipe. The header pipe goes back into these long tubes. They call them ice mats, and they're just like these pre-built, like 4 foot wide, whatever the length of the rink is. So 80 feet for me. 80 foot, these little tiny flexi tubes, pipes that would just make a giant U to a little copper U bracket, and then all the way back into the inlet or the outlet header pipe that's on the same end. And that just goes all the way down. So you have to put that whole system together, pressure test it so there's no leaks, which in transport there's always going to be a crack or something. So you have to repair it or replace like a pipe or whatever. After everything's all pressurized, you fill the whole system with glycol, which takes a day because you have to just drop a submersible pump in there and just slowly pump it in. Then you run the whole system, and then finally, when that's going, you can sit outside for 8 hours in the middle of the night and lay water with a hose and to build the ice.
Wow.
That's a really old school way to do it. If you see like an NHL rink do it, they have this like really great setup where it's like this it's almost like a sprinkler, and it just like miss like a perfect layer of ice, and they just walk it back and forth, and it's really nice and easy. But all we could do is just use a hose and just flood it, and then you just push water around to make sure it stays flat and even. And then when you get it over to a certain height, you could bring the Zamboni on and start running that.
And you said that takes about 8 hours?
No, 8 hours a night. It takes about like 3 or 4 days to build the
Oh, I
ice.
see. Okay.
It used to be where we hired guys to do it, but eventually I've just started kind of doing it on my own because it's whatever. You're just out there in the middle of the night.
So let's say there's a crack or something's wrong. Like, how long does it take you to fix it, or how?
They fix it super fast.
Okay.
Yeah, they do so much testing first before like we put glycol in that system at all. And if they don't, like, that's a major mess up on their end. But I've never had a problem like that with them ever. They always were really, really consistent about keeping the system good. The only thing that were a little hairy was the skates, which, skates they're rental skates. They're get ratty. They're used by like hundreds and hundreds of people every season. So you get what you get. Dashers also, the walls that go around it, those get beat up like crazy. Like I remember one year I just got a particularly bad set of dashers, and they were like cracked halfway through, and like corners were chipped off and stuff, and it was kind of hard to like kind of switch some stuff out, and like it was, some of them were a hazard, but he's trying to manage like so many different rinks, so it's hard to logistically kind of keep.
And all this is rented, correct?
It's all rented.
So, did you ever have any issues when you returned it? They were like, "Oh, this is all beat up."
No.
No.
They know the game. They know
Okay.
they know what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. But honestly, like Emery's kind of like, hey, do what you need to get it done. Like one year, on the Zamboni, for example, the brush, there's a edging brush that you can use. It broke and it got caught to the point where it was rubbing against the auger in the back. And
What's an auger?
It's a part of the Zamboni. So like a Zamboni basically is just like giant razor blade and scrapes up the ice, and then there's an auger, which is like a rotational like carbine, and it spins the frost and snow up into a chamber, and there's another one that spins up and pushes it into the fuselage in the front. So that's spinning at a couple thousand RPMs to push it.
Yeah.
So we had to like cut the brush completely off. I had to use an angle grinder and just like rip it. And he was just like, yep, just do it. Do what you got to do. We'll replace it later. Like, all right, Emery, whatever you got to say.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's just kind of how ice rinks were. And then, if there was any problems, we just kind of work it out with like pricing and stuff like that. And everyone's really nice and negotiable with how like things were acceptable or not. Like we can actually talk about being like, no, I'll pay for that because I cut your brush off. Let me pay for that. Or actually, like the engine was broken beforehand, so like we'll let that go or whatever. Like, and it's just hard because like we're all the machinery and everything we're putting through, like we're putting it through the ringer, so stuff breaks often. But you just like learn to fix it and stuff, and kind of just keep moving on.
Got it.
I know how to fix Zambonis more than I know how to fix cars.
That's crazy. So when did you take over? How did that happen?
Following year,
Okay.
he said he wanted to take a step back, and he just got that same year he hired me as a GM. He got the bid for San Mateo, which is now the biggest outdoor seasonal ice rink in the Bay Area.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge. So he got that, and it does real good. It's also a city backed rink, which is like every rink owner's dream to be city backed. So they just like were like, yeah, like I'm gonna probably get rid of Napa in like next year, and like I want to sell you Marin. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So we wrote up a contract, and I bought it for 80,000 from him.
Did you pay him the full 80,000, or what do you?
We
Did
had a
he?
payment plan
Okay,
set
cool.
up because he knew I wouldn't have that kind of dough like right out, but he basically just said like, we'll write it out in contract, after every season you'll pay me out a certain amount, and within certain flexibility and within certain clauses, like for example, if I lose the rink, he'll help me relocate and things like that. It was a really 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 fair contract. So that was all going good and great and fine, except COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately I only got through I think $50,000 of the 80,
Mm-hmm.
but since COVID happened, he just wrote it off.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I owe this guy like a lot. But yeah, so now we just kind of like anytime he asks me for help, I'm like, yep, whatever you need. So like for example, I'm literally next week I'm gonna go to San Mateo and go build their ice rink for them
Okay.
with them for a little while. They're
Okay.
already up there building right now. Yeah, so I just took it over right after that, and then I kept it as Marin on Ice for 1 year and coasted it. Didn't make any announcement about the ownership change. Didn't make any big hullabaloo. Still said I was the GM and not the owner, unless the situation arose to the point where I needed to. I'd be like, okay, no,
Mm.
actually, I'm the owner,
Yeah.
oh, you can't go above me. Sorry. But after that, then I changed everything. And I was like, all right, I'll make the announcement now. Now that I got the full back end, see the money for myself, see the operations fully for myself, the contracts myself, and all that. And I switched it over and I renamed it to NorCal Ice, and that's how that came to be.
What made you change?
On Ice is his brand. So when his rinks were
God.
So it was Napa on Ice, San Mateo on Ice.
Got
So
it.
I
Okay.
had to change the name at some point, but he was cool with letting me coast because he understood why I was trying to do it, and he
Mm.
didn't really care because it wasn't really a reflection on him at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it was fine. But after that year, I was like, yeah, I got to change the name.
How long did it take you to pay those $50,000? Like how many seasons?
Oh, 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah. 1 year was particularly bad. It was the year we had all the rain and smoke, so I couldn't really give him much after
Mm.
that. I think I only was able to give him 10. That's why it was an odd number instead of 60.
Got it. Got it.
But everyone was suffering that year, so he wasn't expecting anything at all. The
Mhm.
fact that I even got him 10, he was kind of impressed by. So I was like,
Okay.
shit, sorry.
All good.
Yeah. So after that, I just ran the rink, and through trial and error and bashing my head a wall enough, eventually got to the point where I was really comfortable
Mm-hmm.
in 2020. And I was really happy where I was at, and I knew everything, and I had the contracts, and then COVID hit, and the whole thing changed.
So when you took over, were you profitable from the get go, or was it kind of hard for you?
No, it was profitable right away.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like I got into business buying a business that was already set up, built, contracted. Like everything was already made. I didn't
Yeah.
have to. None of the hard stuff was done. I didn't have to do any of the hard stuff. It was already ready to go. All I had to do is make sure that I hired good people, didn't spend money dumb, and just maintain everything and not break anything.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple to do. It wasn't until I started Skate Escape that I had to go through all those growing pains, and boy howdy are they growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
I actually realistically I didn't really start feeling comfortable with what I wanted my rink to be until just this past summer.
And why those drastic changes?
From ice to roller or to
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. So
Sorry. So let's let people know that it was ice first,
yeah,
and then now you're
it was a
rollers.
seasonal traditional ice rink, real ice. when I went inside and I got the contract to go into Tilly's, I couldn't put a real rink in there, obviously, because there's not enough power, there's no drainage, there's no water. So I had to find another system. And in keeping with the ice skating, I got something called synthetic ice,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a good product for recreational use.
Mm-hmm.
It's an intended like polyurethane surface that's embedded with a certain lubrication that utilizes the friction of metal against the plastic to generate heat. Once the blades get hot, the blades cut through just like ice. But you have to be strong to push on that. It feels like you're skating on peanut butter at first.
Mm-hmm.
So for anyone that's like an adult or someone who plays hockey or figure skates or anything, it's fine. You'll be slow for 2 seconds and then you'll be fine. It'll be fun. For poor little kids that are like 5, they're like sitting there slogging through it. It's terrible for them. But I felt terrible too because like I was also the only thing open. I opened in 2021 for the ice rink. I was the only activity that year, the only one, and I had to have I can only let a certain number of people in. I had to have a sign up list. Everyone had to wear masks, which I got yelled at for a lot. Uh, but yeah, so it was, and it was a terrible product. Like I was really unhappy with it.
Did you get a lot of complaints from parents, or you just
Oh,
didn't
both,
like it?
both.
Really?
Yeah, like I was like kind of into it. People were like, it's yeah, and then I like start seeing kids struggle. I'm like, man, this sucks. Like this is really not great. And it was really hard to maintain too because you had to clean it like every day, like deep clean. It's not like running a Zamboni where you just rip it for 10 minutes, you're good.
And were these rentals, or you had to buy the
No, I
product?
bought it. I
Really?
bought it.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
I committed to it. Uh,
How can I ask how much
I
it was?
think
Like, was it pricey or?
it wasn't terrible. So the company's out of Valencia, Spain. So the unfortunate thing, my shipment got stuck in that huge shipping thing that we
No
got.
way.
Yeah, dude, it was 2 months late. I
Damn.
lost I lost a whole month of season that I could have
Wow.
had.
Yeah, I work
But
at a tea company, and we had the same issue because we would get product from overseas, and we were
yeah, everyone was stuck
yeah,
for a minute.
yeah.
It didn't help the boat got stuck sideways on the
Oh
channel
yeah, yeah,
either.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was yeah.
But yeah, so I spent I think it was like $45,000 on it.
Damn.
Yeah, so it wasn't a bad package though. It was a full rink with all the skates, a skate sharpener, the cleaner, the lubrication, and a support team that would teach you how to build the rink.
Hmm. How many seasons did you use this for?
One, I made a decision right away that it was terrible.
Were you able to make your money back?
Yes,
Okay.
that December I made 40,000
Oh wow.
just in a month.
Wow.
Again, every circumstance like was totally in my favor, and it was not the product, it was not the business, it was just because I was the only thing to do. So like it was not a success on that front. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time for
Hmm.
that. But that wasn't to say that was a great starting up point to go into roller skating. And the only reason I did, it was one of the last birthday parties I had of the year. This little girl got a pair of roller skates and she wanted to try them, and I was like, go ahead. I've never seen anyone roller skate on it. She did it and she liked it. And I was like, oh. So I decided to flip everything around. The mall offered me the space year round. I'm like, I can't run it this year round. This is gonna fail. I need to do something different. So I committed. I bought $16,000 worth of roller skates, and I just said, screw it. We're Skate Escape now.
Okay.
And I've just been doing that ever since.
How many sets of roller skates did you get with $16,000?
102 pairs.
So do you get like multiple pairs per size, or is it?
Yeah, so keep in mind that pricing's super inflated because it was COVID, so everything was a little bit more expensive.
Mhm.
Right now, if I were to buy the same thing, it would probably be closer to 12 or 10,000. But basically, I went to one company and they sold used roller skates. Those are
Okay.
the tan ones, the golden horses, the OG ones.
Mhm.
Those ones I got from them, and they just like I just took the when you in a certain area, like for shoe sizes, you can run the little math based on your population to figure out what sizes you need or
Mm.
don't. So I just copied that same math and did it for roller skating.
Mhm.
Turned out to be incorrect because the clientele totally changed.
No way.
Yeah, because most of my clientele for the ice rink were high schoolers and teenagers. Most of my clientele now are like 9 to 11-year-olds. So a full like set down almost.
Mm.
So I had to make some adjustments and return some and get some other pairs of certain sizes to make sure I had enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just bought one set from there, and then the other set I just kind of piecemealed together. I think some of them I got from like they're all the same brand, but some of them I got from like Target. I think some of them I got from Amazon. Just trying to, I was playing around with different skates because they could not find adult size skates anywhere to buy. So I had to like go and find something else. And I'm actually pretty happy I found the brand that I did because they're pretty solid skates.
Mm.
For $80 a set, like they hold up really well. They're pretty strong and sturdy, and like I have no problems with them. So
Mm-hmm.
I would like to get like proper rentals, but they're good for
Got it.
what they
Got it.
do. Yeah.
So, when you changed to skates, did you see a difference in in your business, like as far as clientele and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it just started opening up a lot of stuff, and the first thing that I had to get integrated was birthday parties,
Mm-hmm.
because that's huge. I mean, we haven't had a roller rink here in Marin County, so I don't know if this was part of your childhood as much, but like back in the day, that was just what you did. Like you just had roller skating birthday parties every
Mm.
Friday, Saturday. You're at the roller rink, so you could
Mm-hmm.
meet the guy or gal or whatever to hit on or and have fun with,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of the whole point. But now 2.5 generations of folks don't even know how to skate. So it was kind of watching like a bunch of baby deer to go at it.
Mm-hmm.
But they were having fun and they
Mm-hmm.
really liked it. And then we started playing around like with music, and I just kind of just started listening to whatever the kids really wanted because they were the ones that were coming, spending the money and participating often.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a good like 3 months where I had a group of 10 girls. They just rotated birthdays with each other. Same 10 girls, same birthday, basically, just a different kid's birthday every time.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted like more colorful stuff. Cool. I painted the walls bright blue, green, and pink.
Mm-hmm.
We added little flowers on this side. They wanted something more creative to do. Cool. Chalkboard. There's that for them. So I just started listening to them and stuff, and then the business was doing pretty solid, even considering with the state of the mall and everything like that. When Hazy's moved in, that was a big boon. That really helped out a lot. And then, yeah, and the winter was really, really good. It wasn't really until last summer when we saw the first slowdown. And that was because COVID was kind of ending, everyone traveled.
Mm.
And then we just saw a really slow summer. Uh, and then yeah, and then ever since then, it's there's been a huge decline all the way
Really?
through, and it's the BJ's left, Panera left, so the mall definitely has a hand in it too. But it's also like the space. It's a normal roller rink is 15,500 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3,000 square feet. I'm a
Oh wow.
fifth of the size. So when I started realizing that I've only realized this at the beginning of the summer that I was basically running my business wrong. I wasn't reaching out to the right clientele, and I didn't realize it. But like skating in general has a massive culture to it, massive culture. Literally, go in any direction from Marin County, and you will see like the impact that roller skating as a thing, period, regardless of the rink, has on these people's lives. I try to frequent. There's a great community project in Oakland called Panther Skate. They're trying to build a community outdoor rink for themselves, and they're raising money. Please go check them out if you have time. But I try to go over there, and it is some of the best vibes and feeling you'll ever get out of the community. Period. Everyone's just out there rolling, feeling themselves, enjoying each other's company, and just like having fun in the most purest way possible. And the other thing too, it's like it's not like there's no alcohol, there's no drugs, there's nothing there. It's just them. They're just skating. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Just some music and skating. Totally free. And once I started realizing like this is the clientele that sticks around, the people that come and skate weekly, and
Mm-hmm.
this is their decompression. Those are the clients I need to get. The kids are fine. I will still always get kids. I will still always get birthdays. But those are the clients I needed to figure out. So recently I started adding adult nights, but didn't understand what I was missing. So I had to go over and basically talk to all these people and figure out like, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get you guys to come over here? And they're like, DJs, get music, get DJs and get them out. So I started hiring a bunch of DJs.
Really?
Yeah, my favorite DJ, she goes by DJ Black Woman on Instagram. Her name's Nina though. And she is amazing. Like I came across her at Panthers game and skated with her when she was playing her set, and I felt so much in love with her vibe and how she did her music. I was like, oh my god, I need her. I need her to come.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like kind of intimidated because she's like she's pretty up there. She plays like some relatively big shows and stuff
Really?
sometimes. Yeah, she gets booked out often. So luckily, this other guy was there too. His name is DJ Oswald, and he's a super nice guy. I hired him first. He did my first adult night, and the guy literally is just like a big advocate. He's just like, I want to make this big. Like, I'll help you, hook you up. I'm like, man, and I was telling him offhandedly when he was coming, he's like, oh man, I really want to get like DJ Black Woman. Like, she's amazing. And I was like, oh, I know her. I'll get you in. I'm like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I'll get her. I'll get her next week. All right. Sure enough, calls her up, says, hey, I buttered up for you. Go ahead and talk to her.
Nice.
Yeah, talk to her, and she's great. And then I just got her set up. I got her committed to every third Friday of every month. She comes by and DJs.
How much do you pay these DJs?
It depends. Oswald asked for a flat rate. I think it was only like 300 for the night. She's 180 an hour.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but she's worth it. Like totally through. And the people you get coming through too is like it's totally different from the families and kids you get. One guy that came through, he's literally just known as Spin Man. You know what he does?
Let me take a guess. He
Yeah, I know.
probably spins.
Yeah, he spin real good. Seriously, he can sit there and rotate like 30 times just in
Really?
one spin. It's really cool to watch. But yeah, you just come across all these like really unique skaters with unique styles, and like it was so fun. The next adult night we're having is the 8th. Yeah, that's the second Friday, which will be with DJ Oz. Then the third Friday would be DJ Black Woman.
How much do you charge per adult?
It's $12 admission, $3 if you need to rent skates. Skate as long as you want. Once you guys leave, you're done. Pretty easy.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, no, it's cool. 8 to 11 on Friday. Second, third, and fourth Friday.
What type of music do they play?
Whatever they want. I hire DJs based on what their personality and what they bring to the table, not really their music, because what they put out there for themselves, like their music will show that. Like DJ, like Nina, for example, like she literally played like everything from like super old classics to her own mixes and stuff, but it all felt like her. Like she was always playing. So same thing with Oz. Like he always plays the stuff he plays. It could be any genre, but like it's more about what they do. So like that's why people follow DJs around and not the type of music so often. So like for example, I'll get one crowd for him, and then I get a totally different crowd for her, and then another crowd for the other guy, Cali Soul, who I just got hired as well, and he's every fourth Friday of every month. So, everyone brings something a little different from the table. I literally only try to find people just based on like kind of what they bring.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, yeah, but it seems that line of thinking seems to work because it brings different people.
And when did he start doing this?
Very recently. Like my first one was in September. Cal Skate recently had a massive remodel with a brand new wood floor for this past month, so I didn't want to put any adult skates out because everyone was really excited for that. So like they should go experience Cal Skate in their new floor. Which, by the way, go experience it. Holy smokes, that floor is amazing. So now we're starting back up again for the month of November, and it's going to be consistent every month from now on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said it's from what time to what time?
8 to 11.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 to 11 at night. Latest thing they'll be open at the mall.
Okay.
By walk shut.
That's awesome. Sounds pretty fun.
It is really fun. It's also it's also like closed and enclosed and intimate too. So like it's pretty easy to kind of get more of like technical skaters or people that are a little bit more close knit with each other. Just kind of elevates everything.
So how do you get people in there? Do you just promote it yourself, or do the DJs bring a crowd with them?
A little both. So I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But we do a lot of stuff on Instagram. A lot of roller skaters are on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Try to communicate, follow a lot of roller skaters and stuff like that. Like I had no idea who these people were like 2 years ago, and now I'm like constantly looking at them, constantly like
Mm.
watching them,
Yeah.
and then but they're all like relatively interconnected and stuff. Like, uh, for example, Richard Humphrey is a very famous step roller skater,
Mm-hmm.
very old school kind of guy. He will come across over to Panther Skate. Well, DJ Blackwoman was DJing at Panther Skate, so now we know Richard Humphrey because of that connection.
Mm.
And then or like there's this other guy, I think it's like Rick the Nick or Rico Nick, I think is his name. He's like very flexy, like kind of a skater, like he can sit in splits and roll around and stuff.
Really?
He's really cool to watch. But he mostly frequents at Golden Gate Park, but he also comes through Panther Skate or goes to Cal Skate sometimes. So
Mm-hmm.
then there's that connection. I
Mm.
just went to Cal Skate this past Sunday to go check out their adult skate and try their floor for the first time. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, you do the Marin rink," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. How'd you know that?" And they're like, "Oh, we heard from this and that." And it's
That's
like,
dope.
"Oh,
Yeah.
yeah." So it's just like word of mouth. The skating community is all pretty close knit and stuff, and like there's like 5 rinks now in the area, very broad, like San Ramon to Citrus Heights, kind of
Mm.
broad. But they all have these different events, and roller skaters will travel the 2+ hours sometimes to just go experience
Mm-hmm.
these events. I'm not quite that big yet. I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping to get that big, but like Cal Skates Tuesday night and Sunday night adult nights get a lot of people. Citrus Heights adult nights, people drive 2 hours for.
Really?
Yeah,
How big is their rink?
15,000 square feet,
Oh,
proper size,
got it. Got it.
wood floor, really nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then what's her name? Gigi? Is she still your
Yeah, Gigi still helps with my social media and stuff. She tries to come in when she can, but as the holidays are coming up and she's getting busy with her own personal stuff,
Mhm.
well, yeah, I don't know. I have to see if she even has space
Oh
to,
wow.
to keep
Okay.
me in.
Got it.
It's like I want her to be successful and do what she needs to do to make her own life successful. But I mean, won't lie, she is kind of a big help.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um and then if she can't help you, do you
I'm
post up or you just wait for her to
No,
like
I've been trying to teach myself in the just in case category.
mm,
Luckily, the woman that runs Flying Dutchman, the gymnastics gym, her name is Carrie. She's really good at social media.
sorry, there's a stupid fly that's annoying me. It's like flying around you, sorry.
I don't know. Try to slap it if I can see it.
Yes, sorry. What were you saying?
No, Carrie from the Flying Dutchman. Her social media is really good, like
Mm.
across the board, and she's been teaching me how to basically do social media. Plus, on top of that, there's another gal at Ounces, Abby. She also runs their social media, and she literally like taught herself everything, and she's just been helping me, just like oh, you should post something like this or do something like that. She's
Mhm.
great. So, just this like Northgate has a nice little community between the business owners who all try to help each other out. So
Yeah.
it's really nice, and you learn a bunch of new skills or connections or anything like that. And it, yeah, really helps, and you learn a lot.
Yeah. Um who came up with your colors, like those pastel colors? Was that your idea or was that Gigi part of
No, Gigi wasn't involved yet, so oh man, how did I come up with those colors? I don't know. I think I just picked them, and then it wasn't really until I told him to put them on the walls I realized I just painted my rink like Powerpuff Girls.
That's right. That's
It's
yeah.
pink, blue,
Pink,
and
blue, and
green.
green. Yeah, that's funny.
And I was like, oh, all right. Well, I guess that's my theme now. So I just
Got it,
stuck
got it.
with it.
Okay.
It still works. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I was just asking, like, how did he choose those colors? Like, was it
I don't know. I just
okay?
chose three colors that kind of didn't work. I mean, like Cowskate kind of does the same thing. They have like this like darker green, purple, orange kind of thing
Mm,
going, and that's always across their walls. So I think maybe subconsciously I was thinking like, oh, 3 colors like they do, and then I just picked those.
mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Cool.
wish I had some sort of inspiration for it, but it was pretty random. Sorry.
You should stick to the Powerpuff Girls. That's
I,
yeah.
yeah, except I haven't seen that since I was like a child.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Just the theme, even the name, like literally, me and my dad were bouncing names back and forth. And originally, they wanted to use my own name in it because of the whole fictitious business license, like all
Mm.
that extra cost. And I was just like, nah, like Spence's Skate, like that's a mouthful.
Well, skate escape is a mouthful for me.
Skate Escape is also like
It's hard for me to say.
it is kind of a mouthful too, but like I like the theming of it, like escape your reality a little
Exactly.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, like either people learn to say it or they'll just keep struggling, but they'll remember they struggled with it and they'll remember the name. So
Yeah, that's a
still kind of
good
works out.
strategy. Yeah.
Not the intended, but
Cool. 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 So as a business owner, somebody that wants to start a business, like what? Like, do you have any any what's it called? Any what's the word
advice,
for this?
suggestions.
Yeah, advice. Jesus, that was hard. Yeah.
No,
Any
you're kidding.
advice? Yeah.
I yeah, just try it. So like when it comes to business, there's plenty of people online, like all these business gurus can tell you to do XYZ and do this, or you can go to school, get your business degree and do all that. They all have their own value, but at the end of the day, the only way you're really going to learn how to operate your business within your area and how your clientele is going to work is just by doing it. Now, of course, I'm saying that like that's the easiest thing in the world and people got money to like start businesses left and right. There is a huge overhead with it, regardless of what kind of business you're doing and what you're getting yourself committed into or anything along those lines. But if there's any way you can start on a smaller scale, even if that just means like drop shipping stuff online from your bedroom, or you're making your own stuff, packaging it in your room and sending them out manually, do it. Try it. It doesn't hurt to try anything. Worst case scenario, okay, it doesn't work out. You tried it, then you can move on to the next thing. You don't have to worry about it so much. It doesn't have to sit in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does work out, great. Then from there you can start figuring out how to scale. Well, what's the hardest thing of my job? I hate packaging. All right. Well, how do I get things to be packaged for me? Look up for distribution areas, or maybe you just hire somebody to package for you. Whatever works best for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just kind of keep going from there. And then eventually you go to the point where like, oh man, maybe I should get a storefront, sell my candles.
Mm-hmm.
You start figuring out what's the best way to do that. For Marin, go to Northgate, get that cheap rent. That way it won't be so risky for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, it depends on the type of businesses that you're doing too, because if you're doing products and stuff like that, that depends on the clientele. Entertainment's a little funny because it's not always 100% consistent, because most common people were like, I did the activity, I'm good. You know, like ice skating. You only ice skate once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Most people do. But it's to keep people coming back, you have to kind of keep things interesting and change things up. That's like the adult skates and like different DJs, themes, parties, stuff like that. And you can apply that basically through to anything at all that you come across. You just keep constantly trying. Just try a bunch of different things. I failed so many times. I made so many dumb mistakes. My worst mistake was like exchanging shoes for ice skates. That was a nightmare. I lost like 3 pairs of shoes. I had to buy people shoes. It was the worst idea I've ever had. I still tried it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you learn to see if it's gonna work or not.
Yeah. You just have to try it, and and you learn a bunch even if you fail. Like, and then you have a way better idea about what direction you're gonna go later.
Mm-hmm.
Just the only thing I'll say is just keep a small scale though. Like don't do big costly changes that could make you lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just make these changes that you can control and change. It doesn't cost you a lot. Try stuff out, try new products, like see what works.
Yeah.
Something will stick. And if it's not in this area, then maybe it's not like Marin, maybe it's Sonoma.
Yeah.
It'll do better there, or Fairfield, or Vacaville, or Vallejo, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It just because the market's not good here doesn't mean there's not another market out there that will work better for you.
True.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Thank you for that. Also, your parents.
Yeah.
How did your parents take this?
They were so supportive.
Really?
I was actually kind of shocked because I I we had a conversation because I had an opportunity to go to China as a exchange program in high school, and they were like, "All right, so you can either go do this or you can go to college." And I'm like, "Do you really think I'm going to go to college?" No. All right, so go to China then, I guess. So they kind of knew my life was not going to be like the normal path that most kids took around that time, like college, work, all that kind of thing. So when they heard about this opportunity, especially my dad, he was like, "Go for it, do it, like
Hmm.
try it out. Who knows? Maybe you'll love it." Damn, he was right. I
Yeah.
still do love it. Love every bit of it. Um,
Did
yeah.
they help you financially, or was that not needed? Since you kind of like took over the business, how
So
was that like?
for the ice rink part, no, I didn't actually need. I got like, I think the only thing I ever needed was like little bits and bobs forwarded for some construction parts, and then literally they were paid back like the first week I was open at the ice rink.
Mm.
The roller skating rink, however, they did help me quite a bit because I mean COVID happened, I lost everything basically. So both my parents put down a big chunk to help me get going, and I paid them out that first year.
Got it.
So I still owe, I think I still owe my dad like a little bit of money, but we're not really doing it because technically it's a buy-in. So he owns 1% of my company.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's like, I can pay you back or you can get a little thing at the end.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah. So
Cool. And I don't know if I asked you this already. Like, how much was the transition? Like, how pricey was it?
45.
Oh
45,000.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it just the cost of the material and stuff because
Yeah.
like the rent was percentage of sale, so there was no, and the utility was flat rate. The mall was super flexible because it was still the old general manager that I worked with for 10 plus years in
Mm.
general, or sorry, 10. I've been there 10 years now. 5 years at that time with then. And so the overhead, like that was just kind of the whole overhead, and I was running everything basically myself, and it wasn't until I got a little bit deeper that I only hired two kids to help me, and one of them was a kid that used to go to the ice rink.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I hired met her when she was 8, and I hired her when she was 16.
Oh
She
wow.
got to work with me.
Nice.
That was, yeah, trippy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's kind of trippy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she still comes by and visit. Now she's like in her, I think yeah, she just started her second year in college, and she still comes by and
That's
says
kind of
hi.
cool to keep those relationships. Because remember, I mean, imagine her having a kid and then her kid goes to your rink and stuff. You know?
I've already had a situation like that.
Really?
Yeah, one of my general managers has a kid, and when she worked for me, she was my age, and now she has a child, and now the child has come to the rink. It's like a full funny circle,
That's
and
pretty cool.
I've seen like it. That's probably the part I like the most. Like the business part of it's always fun and interesting and like really good to crack at, but
Hmm.
like the best part of the whole thing is just watching kids that have no common background whatsoever become like lifelong friends.
Mm.
Like there was a group of kids that I had, there were like 10 of them. We called them junior skate guards because they literally couldn't help themselves but help people around on the ice rink the whole time. And we even tried to make it into an official program, but that kind of fell through. But they're still mostly friends with each other. And that was what, 10 years ago now?
Wow.
I got some kids in college are still talking with each other, still communicating. Parents of those kids are still talking with each other. So, and that I don't know if those friendships will like. I hope they keep going, but like, it's just absolutely crazy to me that like I built something that created a community space for them where they got to be friends with like a pair of kids from Novato with another pair of kids that goes to school in San Francisco with another set of kids that live in San Rafael.
Hmm.
Those kids would have never interacted with each other ever in their lives.
Yeah, yeah, true.
And here they are every day at the rink, every day.
That's pretty cool.
It's awesome. I love it, and including my staff too.
How do you keep track of all these names and faces?
uh,
Because that's a lot of people that go.
to be super honest with you, nowadays I have a really hard time with names. People have to you have to I have to ask people like 3 or 4 times to remember people's names now. But like back then for the kids and stuff, it was a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
They were just always so frequent and like in your face
Mm-hmm.
because they were kids.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, you couldn't help but know them.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
How many employees do you have now?
Right now I have one, but I'm hiring actually.
Mm.
I'm looking for 2 college kids basically. It's minimum wage. I'm so sorry I can't afford more. But yeah, I'm trying to be open more days right now. I had to take a little bit of a step back because of this winter season is always really wild. I'm running a camp now with the Flying Dutchman, so we call it Mall Rat Camp. So that's going to be running Thanksgiving week through winter break. So I'll be busy with that. Also, the restaurant, I'm still there. So whenever I'm doing that. And then most importantly, these ice rink build and tear down. That takes up half of my November and half of my January.
Mm.
So I need like these people to basically like almost run the business for me for a little bit while I go do these things. And then once winter hits, when we're open 7 days a week, they're the filler to fill out when the kids are off school. And if everything keeps going well, like there's absolutely no reason to cut hours or time or days or anything like that. So we'll just keep it going as long as it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So looking for a job and you just want something fun to do, hit me up.
It sounds like a fun job.
It is super fun. You obviously get to skate whenever you want, and come and skate whenever you want. So if you need a free date, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's also kind of demanding though too, because like you gotta be patient with kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to do. Like children can be very challenging, and also the most rewarding thing possible.
Yeah.
But you got to be patient with them, because especially for these younger kids, because none of these kids know how to skate. Honestly, a lot of my time with the little ones, I spend most of my time just sitting there trying to help them skate.
Got it.
Just
Got
fall
it.
down, get back up, fall down, get back up. But they get it at the end.
Do you have any kids? No.
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 How are the parents? Are they like? So when you have a group of kids, right? Are parents helpful, or is it just like, okay, they're your problem now?
All over the place. Just like how parents are in general. So you have the hyper cautious ones that are sitting there constantly like trying to catch their kids, even though you can't do anything from the sidelines. I'm sorry, your kid's gonna fall.
Yeah.
You got the parents that are way too relaxed and like, they're fine.
My bad. Just how to space ran out, so I had to say the first clip, and then we'll just continue. What were we talking about before this happened?
I think you asked about parents. I was describing like the different parents.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Where
You're gonna have a lot of patience for this type of job, right? Then.
yeah, I do and don't at the same time.
Mm.
Just like, but that's kind of like any customer facing job. Like sometimes you can just sit there and deal with like people in all their varieties. And sometimes there's just days you can't, just like most humans have good and bad days, but I will say that I'm very, very, very patient with children, way more than I am with adults. If And I don't mean that in a like to teach them or anything like that. Like that's fine. Everyone learns at their own pace. Like
Mm-hmm.
do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But in terms of the customer facing stuff, like I'd much rather deal with the kid picking his nose, taking 20 minutes to ask for a bottle of water, versus the parent sitting there doing the same thing, being that indecisive. Because I'm like, you're an adult, like.
Mm-hmm.
But that luckily I don't have to deal with that like all that often, and even if it does, it's like what? It's a 5-second interaction that's over with. So who cares?
Got it.
Yeah. And I've never had like a terrible, terrible interaction where it was like super escalated at the roller rink. Ice rink, on the other hand, I've definitely had a few. But holidays make people wild anyway. Makes sense.
Got it. For the holidays, do you have anything going on? Like for Halloween, for example, are you
Uh,
doing anything special since it lands on a Thursday?
no, so we're only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday right now.
Oh,
So
okay, okay,
yeah,
okay, okay.
so it's everyone seemed to celebrate Halloween actually this past Saturday.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just kind of not really doing much at all. Really, our big things is going to be the adult skate, which happens every second, third, and fourth Friday of every single month. Our kids camp, mall rat camp, which will happen through Thanksgiving week and through winter break. And that's all it for now. But there is some hopefully new and exciting things coming very, very soon. Matter of fact, I'm actually even having a meeting about one of these things tomorrow. So if those things come into fruition, then I may have like very major, major things coming up.
Could you spill the beans?
I can't spill any beans.
Okay.
I'm very sorry. It's too early to like even get people excited about
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't want to like give any high hopes. Like I'm already like false hoping myself a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
let me get some concrete like paper and pen signage, and then we'll figure something.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
We'll definitely keep an eye out then.
Oh, please do, because this I'm really hoping that this can go. Yeah, I hope this goes the way I want it to go.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So when do you plan on opening the full week?
when I hire people.
That's the only thing holding you back?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
damn.
really just need two kids because I work multiple jobs, so like I can't like I need to work, so it is expensive out here, right?
Yeah.
So and the rink, while the rink does great, I try not to pull actually too much money from it. It's not actually not my main source of income at all. But the bars is, and the other work I do is. So um I unfortunately I'm busy with that, so I really do need these other folks to come through and get hired so I can have them work throughout the week, and then
Got
it
it.
could
Got
be
it.
fully functioning on its own, and I won't need to be there, and I could just work.
Got it. Got it. So, the income that you get from the ring, do you pay yourself a certain amount, or do you just use it for like things that you need for the business?
It's kind of a mixture of the both. So I will only grab stuff if I like personally, if it's like if I'm just like need a little something for something personally.
Mm.
I live relatively frugally. I don't really like doing anything super crazy or buying expensive stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
if I you need to get something, it's usually like, oh, like something broke, I need to fix it, or like I need new tires on my car.
Mm-hmm.
I can take $250 and pay myself for the hours and hours and hours of work I put in to build the dang thing. you
Mm.
know. But most of the time, the I usually get like an amount at the end of the year, like a leftover, and then that's really like the income I would get from the
Got it. Got it.
business.
Okay. Okay.
But I try to keep it all just like self-contained, run it to itself just in case, because like the business is listed is an LLC, so it's its own entity. So if it something goes awry, it can go down. So just in case,
Got
you
it. Got
never
it.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, are you married or not?
Nope.
No.
Single.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna ask you like if you had a wife, like what?
No.
Okay.
I actually just I got out of a relationship in February, so
Oh
I've
shit.
been coasting for a little bit
Got
solo
it. Got
now.
it. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just asking because I wanted to see if what her thought was of you owning a business, but never mind. Because I remember last time we spoke, I for some reason I thought you were married.
No. She was the gal I was dating.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
Yeah. We weren't married.
okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I ever actually asked her about that.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if I can even answer that for you.
Okay,
Really.
yeah. Never mind. Forget about it. Okay. So I think we should wrap it up here soon.
Yeah.
If you could let us know where people could find you, your hours, what you're all about.
Yeah. If you want to follow us on Instagram, Skate Escape Marin. We post everything there. For our website is skateescapemarin.com. You can sign up for birthday parties there, buy your tickets in advance, or do anything like that at all. And specifically for any of our events, again, Instagram, Facebook, Nextdoor, all under Skate Escape Marin. And we try to post as often as we can. Emphasis on try. Still trying to figure out the social media thing as best I can. But yeah, keep posted if you want to find like all the fun stuff there.
And one more time about the DJ nights.
Oh,
I think those sound really fun. I will check it out for sure.
Yeah. So in order, November 8th will be DJ Oswald, and he will be, and that will be from 8 to 11. The 15th will be DJ Black Woman, same time, and also what day is that? 23rd.
Let's find out.
22nd. I was close.
22nd.
22nd will be Cali Soul.
Okay, perfect. So I'll definitely stop by. Probably the 8th or the 15th. One of those.
Yeah, I mean, I would just go. I would try to check out the 15th. I just really like DJ Black Woman's vibe, so I want everyone to expose her. But like DJ Oswald's awesome too.
I'll probably stop by on both days. Why not?
Yeah,
why
not?
Awesome. Well, Connor, thank you very much for stopping by. It was very interesting. Like I said, I've been wanting to sit down with you and kind of hear your experience as a business owner, and thank you for sharing all that knowledge.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Cool. We should do it again sometime if you ever want to, when you open 7 days a week, you could, revisit and stuff.
Oh, I'm definitely interested in that for sure.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.